Hey there, thank you for watching my channel. Today I want to show you how you can crochet these wrist warmers, and it doesn't matter if you crochet left or right side, because you can put them on either hand if you want to. So this is how mine looks like, and it's great if you are going to maybe drive your car or doing some shopping and you have cold hands but you still want to use your fingers. So this video is about how you can crochet these wrist warmers. So what we need is yarn, and I have a thicker yarn, and I'm using a crochet hook of 6 millimeters. And first we are going to make a magic circle, and make sure you're keeping the cross section over here, and then put your hook through that magic circle and grab your yarn and make sure it's secure and tight. So I'm having it like this, so my thumb and my point finger or my index finger is holding the cross section from the magic circle. So I'm just doing this like this now, so you can see what I'm doing with my hand. And then the working yarn I'm having here between my other fingers, so like this. Now we are chaining 3, 1, 2 and 3. That counts as a double crochet, and in that magic circle we are making 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2, and then chain 2, and then make 3 double crochets in your magic circle. 1, 2 and 3. Then again chain 2, and then in the magic circle make 3 more double crochets. So 1, 2 and 3, chain 2. So all we need to do is just make a basic granny square, and then I'm pulling the tail of my magic circle a little bit more tight, and then make 3 more double crochets in that magic circle. So 1, 2 and 3, and then make 2 more chains. And now tighten your magic circle, and you can have 2 options, or you are taking the 3rd chain from chain 3 and make a slip stitch, or just go over to the next stitch. You can see it over here. So this is your 1, 2, 3 chains, and this is your double crochet over here. So in that space I'm making a slip stitch. So yarn for your hook through that stitch, grab your yarn with your hook and pull it through that stitch, and also through the loop on your hook. So your first round is done. Let's go to the next round. In the next stitch, here's your double crochet, put your hook through it and make a slip stitch, and then go over to the chain 2 space, put your hook through that space, grab your yarn and pull it through the loop on your hook. So now we are at one corner, so chain 3, that counts as a double crochet, and in that chain 2 space make 2 more double crochets. And now this part belongs to this side of the square, so we need to make a corner. So chain 2, and in that same space where we did the double crochets, make 3 more double crochets. So 1, 2 and 3. So you have these stitches belong to this side of your square, then you made your corner, and these 3 double crochets belong to this side of your square. So now chain 1, so we can go over to the next corner. In that corner make 3 double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, and then in that same chain 2 space make 3 more double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3. Now chain 1, so this is all just repeating. Chain 1 to go over to the next corner. In that corner make 3 double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3, and then chain 2, and then in that same space make 3 more double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3. Chain 1 and go over to the last corner over here, make 3 double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, and then again make 3 more double crochets in that same space, so 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so all we have to do is chain 1 and then just decide what you want. If you want to put your hook in that 3rd chain over here and make a slip stitch like this, if you want to, but I find it difficult because sometimes the chains are too tight. You can do it like this, or you can just skip that chain 3 and go over to the next stitch. So you see that here was a chain 3 and here's your next double crochet, so it's easier to put your hook through that stitch and then just make a slip stitch. Okay, so go over to the next one, to the next stitch, and make a slip stitch, and then go over to the chain 2 corner and make a slip stitch too. So you have one more round to go, so chain 3, and in that same space make 2 double crochets, so 1 and 2, chain 2, and in that same space make 3 more double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3. Now you can see we have one more hole here. So in the first round we only had corners, and now we have one more space between the corners. So now chain 1, and in that corner make 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Now we only have to make a chain 1 to go to the next corner, and this is just repeating. So in the corners make 3 double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3, and then chain 2 to make the corner. In the same space make 3 more double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3. So you can see one side is done now. So this is just for the rest of your round. Chain 1, make 3 double crochets in the chain 1 space of your previous round. So I'm not going to do this very slowly because it just is repeating, repeating and repeating. Chain 1, in the corner make 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, and in the same space make 3 more double crochets, so 1, 2 and 3. Now chain 1, in the next chain 1 space make 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3. Now chain 1, and then make in the corner 3 double crochets, 3, and now chain 2, and in that same corner make 3 double crochets. So 1, 2 and 3. Now chain 1, in the last chain 1 space make 3 double crochets. So 1, 2 and 3. And now you have a couple of options. My square is done now, so I'm cutting my yarn and leaving a tail. What you can do is you can chain 1, and on top of that chain 3 space, and on top of your chain 3 of the beginning, you can put your hook through both loops, and then make a slip stitch, and then put your yarn through it, and then you're done, and just weaving in your ends. You can also use that next stitch, so you're not your chain 3 on top, but in the next stitch over here make your slip stitch, and then put your yarn through that loop on your hook, and then you're done. But you can also do the invisible join. So we made a chain 1, and now I'm just pulling the yarn through that loop so it is secure here, and then take a darning needle and then pull it through your needle, and then skip that 1, 2, 3 chains, and in the next one your double crochet, put your needle through that both loops, your V, and pull it through, and then go over, and then in this stitch over here, only in the back loop, put your needle through there and tighten your thread, but not too much, so then there will be your invisible join. And now all you have to do is just weave in your ends, and I like to do it 2 or 3 times. Just first like this, and I'll make sure it's nice over here, not too tight, and then just skip one piece of yarn over here, go over that and go back, and mostly I do it one more time so I really know the yarn is secure. So just skip one piece of thread over here and go over into the back like that. So I hope it makes sense a bit. And then just cut your yarn. And now you can do that with your tail of your magic circle. Just put your yarn through your darning needle and then just tighten your magic circle. And what I do is, your thread comes from here, so I'm going over first to this side and just pull my yarn tight, and then I skip. You can see the thread is coming from here, so I'm skipping this yarn and then go over and go back through this side. You can see it's really snug over here, and I would like to do it one more time. So my yarn comes from here, so I'm skipping this yarn and then go back. And now I really know my magic circle won't come undone when wearing my wrist warmers. So cut your yarn, and then your first granny square is done. So you need to make 2 of them. So go ahead and make one more, and then I'll show you how you can attach your pieces together and making the well, the warmer here for your wrists and your thumb piece and the top of it. So go ahead and make one more, and I will do it outside of camera, and then I'll come back with you to see how you assemble your wrist warmer. Okay, so I have my 2 squares, and what I forgot to say is you need 4 in total, because 2 squares make 1 wrist warmer, so you need to have 2 wrist warmers. So in total you need to have 4 of these squares, and I'm going to show you how you can turn 2 squares into a wrist warmer. So these are the good sides, they are facing up, and now you're going to face them together, so the wrong sides now are on the outsides. And then we are going to make one side close, or you're going to close one side. So take your yarn and your corners of your squares, so put your hook through that corner, through both of the squares. Take your yarn, hold it together so you have your tension, and pull it through that corner. And now leave your tail down and secure it with your other finger here, so you can work nicely, and secure it with a chain. And now in that same corner make a single crochet, so through both of these squares make a single crochet. And now we want to go through both loops on the first stitch over here and through both loops on the other square, so you have 4 loops over here. Then make a single crochet, so yarn through all those loops and make your single crochet. So you need to attach both squares with this method. And in the chain 1 spaces over here also make a single crochet. You can always choose to attach them with a piece of yarn and a darning needle if you like that. That's also a possibility, but I like to attach them with single crochets. So choose what you want to do with your joining method. And then in the last corner just make 1 single crochet, cut your yarn, and pull your yarn through that last loop on your hook, and later you will weave in your ends, and I will do that off camera, but I'll show you how you make your other side. So here's the side we just closed, and if you are turning the right sides together, then you don't have that bulky seam we just made. So if you have your wrist warmer like this, and if you are attaching it like this, then you will be having that seam on the sides, and I didn't like that, so that's why I made it on the inside. So when you are turning it inside out, then your wrist warmer will be like this, and the seams are nicer. Well, I thought it was nicer. So your wrist warmer will be like this, and this will be your side. Okay, so just make sure your seam is now on top, so then turn your work so your seam you just did is on the bottom. And now take the corner over here and grab your yarn, put your hook through that corner, grab your yarn, pull it through that corner, and then just secure it with a chain. And then in that same corner make a single crochet. And what I am doing is I'm only attaching the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, here's that first stitch, and on the other side it is here. So I'm making a single crochet in the first 3 stitches, in the first 3 double crochets on this side. Cut your yarn and make sure it goes through your loop on your hook. And now we have to do this side too, so flip your work over and then in your corner put your hook through it, grab your yarn, put it through your corner and then secure it with a chain, and in that same corner make a single crochet, and then the first 3 stitches I will crochet together with a single crochet, and cut your yarn and pull your yarn through your loop on your hook. And now you can see if I'm turning it inside out, and this is the first piece of your wrist warmer, and you see you have to, well, you need to have a bigger hole, so if you are making it tighter then your thumb will not be nice in your wrist warmer. So just go ahead and make 2 of your wrist warmers like this and just weave in your ends on the inside. I will do that off camera, and then I'll show you how you can make the longer pieces that go onto your wrists over here, and how you can make a longer thing over here, a longer part for your thumb and over here. So just go ahead and make 2 of these, and then I'll come back with you to see how we can make it like it needs to be. Okay, I forgot to say, if you are using a different kind of yarn, maybe thinner, and you need to have more rounds, then just see how much change you need to close for your wrist warmer in order to make your thumb hole big enough so it fits. So if you're using different yarn and different crochet hook, then maybe you need to have more stitches to close. So that's what I wanted to say. Okay, so now for the bottom part, the part that's coming onto your wrist over here, we are going to take our yarn and go to one side. I'm starting here at the side where the thumb will be, and then just put your hook through some stitches. Let's see where I can attach it. I can attach it over here, and then take your yarn, leave a tail so you can weave in your ends later, and then just put it through your stitch, and then chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if you are using a thinner yarn and a smaller crochet hook, maybe you need to chain more, so your part that goes onto your wrist will be as long as you want, as long as this one. Or if you want your wrist piece to be shorter, then just make less chains, or if you want it to be longer, make more chains. So if I'm putting on this wrist warmer, then the piece for my wrist will be this long. So here's my thumb, and then it will be this long. So if you want it longer, make more chains. If you want it shorter, make less chains. And then just remember how many chains you will have to crochet up and down. So I made 11 chains, and that means that if I'm going to make single crochets over here, I will be having 10 single crochets, because with the 11 chains, the first chain you are skipping, and in the next one you are making a single crochet, and in every next stitch you will make a single crochet, So that means I have 2 now. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the last one here is 10. It looks a bit big, but I have to make sure this is tight. I will weave in this later. Okay, so we went from down to up and down again, and now in the next 2 stitches, so the next one here is this one, chain 1 space, make a slip stitch. So put your hook through that stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through that stitch, and also on a loop on your hook. So for the next stitch that's over here, put your hook through it, grab your yarn, pull it through that stitch, and pull it through your loop on your hook. So you made 2 slip stitches. Now turn your work over here, and you can see we have 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the 10th. And in that stitch, only in the back loops, so normally you'll go through 2 loops, the V-stitch, but now you only have to go through the back one, make a single crochet. And in every stitch, only in the back loop, make a single crochet. So that means we have 10 single crochets in the back loops only when we're going on this side of the wrist part. So only in the back loops, so we get a nice ridged piece for your wrist. And make sure you count along, so you have 10 stitches. So this is your last stitch over here in a back loop. Make your last single crochet. And you can see you get a little ridge over here. And now chain 1. So I'm going to show it you one more time. For the rest, it's just repeat for the rest of this wrist part. Turn your work and just make sure you are facing your stitches. So turn your work a little bit towards you. In that first stitch, only in a back loop, you can see that this is the front loop over here. This is your front loop and this is your back loop. So in your first stitch, make a single crochet in the back loop. So that's 1. In the next stitch, so if you're doing like this, you can't see your stitches very well, so turn your work a little bit towards you. And then you can see here is your next stitch. So I have to have 10 stitches when I'm down at the granny square. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sometimes the last stitch is a little bit difficult to see, but it's over here. You can see the V here. So I'm putting my hook like this with a point into that back loop. And this is number 10. So now for the next 2 stitches, you can see I made the last slip stitch over here. I need to go over here, make a slip stitch in the next stitch. And in the next stitch, make 1 more slip stitch. And then turn your work And then if you don't see where you need to start, then just go from the top over here and count back. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then here is your last stitch. So there you will need to go and make your single crochets. So just go ahead and just crochet along this whole bottom over here. So if you are back here, then I'm going to show you how you can attach this so your wrist piece is done. So I'll do this off camera and I'll come back with you when I'm done. Okay, so I'm in the round now, and I'll loosen up this bit. So I had my last, if you hear something knocking, there will be a bird on my rooftop, I think eating something, so that's what you'll hear. So I made my last single crochet in the back loops, and now I only have to make slip stitches. So in here I'll make a slip stitch, and this would be my last slip stitch, but I skip this one and go into the beginning to make a slip stitch so it will be nice and tight like this. I hope you can see it. Now we have to make a seam with these two parts. So what we're going to do now is turn it inside out. So the seam will be on the inside, and there are some options to do. What you can do is make single crochets along the seam. So here's your yarn and your loop on your hook. So make sure this is nice and straight. And what you can do is you can put your hook through both loops and make a single crochet. You can also make some slip stitches. So your next will be over here and here, and then make single crochets or slip stitches just as you want it to, and then you can close your seam. But maybe you won't have as many yarn for 2 wrist warmers. Then you can save some yarn by cutting a piece of yarn over here and take a darning needle and then put your, well, let's imagine that your thread is through this needle. Then also go through both loops of your work, of your seams, and then just pull it tight, and then go back from this side to the other side, and then just attach your seams like this. So this takes a less amount of yarn to make your seam closed. So just choose any of the options to make your seam closed, and then I'll show you how you can make your thumb, and I'll put it right side out now. I'm not going to show you how you can crochet the top because it's the same as the bottom, but just make a decision how long you want your top to be. So just put on your wrist warmer, and if these sides were closed, then you can see it's going like this for me, so it's nice and warm. And you can choose how long you want your top edge to be. If you well, if you say this is long enough for me, just leave it like this. And if you want a little rim over here, then just attach your yarn in the side seam like you did over here, and then crochet some chains. Maybe if you want it like this, I think you can do some, well, I think 4 chains or 5, and then skip the first, so you have 4 chains back and to the top and the bottom. And well, you can play a little bit with it, so see for yourself how long you want your top rim to be. and also just crochet it in the back loops only. So if you are chaining 4 or 5, well, so let's say 5, then skip the first and go in the second one and just make a single crochet, and then you have 4 single crochets and a slip stitch into the next 2 stitches, and then you can crochet in the back loops only. So to the top, to the back loops, chain 1, and in the back loops just make single crochets. So I hope that makes sense. So this is just how you want it to be, how long you want it to be. So just go ahead and make your seam, and then I'll show you how you can make your thumb. So I'm going to close this and I'll come back with you and just show you how you make your thumb piece. Okay, so now for the thumb part, it's just the same as we did over here, but I'm going to show you a little bit. So take your yarn, and in the side I'm going to put my hook through a stitch, grab my yarn and pull it through that stitch, and then chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then skip that first stitch, and in the next one make a single crochet, in the next stitch a single crochet, and in the next stitch a single crochet. This is a little bit more difficult than when you did the wrist part. So here's your last single crochet, and it's a little bit loose because the tail is not snug, so let's put it over there. So when you make 4 chains, then you will have 3 single crochets, so keep that in mind. So now we're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. So here's 1 stitch, and make a slip stitch through that stitch, and in the next one, so here were your 1, 2, 3 double crochet, so in that first one make a slip stitch, and then turn your work, and then go over into the back loops and make a single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then chain 1, turn your work, and in that first stitch make a single crochet in the back loops. So you will have 3 stitches to do, and then again in the next 2 stitches make a slip stitch, and just go ahead and do as we did over here. So now for here, and make your thumb part, and then just attach both sides with the method you want. So you can make single crochets, or you can just use your thread and your darning needle to attach those seams. So I'm going ahead off camera and I'll make the top part, and then I'll show you how it's done, when it's done, sorry, and then you can see how the wrist warmers look like. So see you in a minute. So here's the finished wrist warmer. You can see the thumb piece, and I attached a little rim on the top, and if I put it on you can see how it looks like. And I made 4 chains, so in total there will be 3 single crochets. And you can see how it looks now. So your thumb is also covered, and if you want it bigger, and then you can also attach some more chains, and with this one too. And if you want this to be a little bit more tapered, then you can also choose to skip stitches when you are making single crochets. So if you went up and then you go down, you need to make single slip stitches, and then you can also just skip a stitch and then slip stitch into the next 2 stitches, and then your top part will be a little bit more tapered and not that wide. And if you think your bottom piece is also too wide, you can also use the skipping stitches on the bottom part. So here is how it looks like. And well, if you are using different yarn, maybe smaller yarn, then it would be nice to maybe use some more colors, so your granny pattern will be more colorful. But it's just up to you how you want your wrist warmer to be. So this is what I want to show you, and I hope I explained it well enough so you can make your own wrist warmers. And for now, I just wish you happy crocheting. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and put on the notifications so you get a message when I upload a new video. And well, I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.